You've got to let the police do their jobs, number one. Number two, you have to do a policy of stop and frisk. When you see a guy coming down the street and the police know every one of them. They know their middle name. They know where they live. They know every one of them, the local police, and they're great. You got to let them do their job. Stop and frisk and take their gun away. You've got to do it. If somebody has, because they have all these guns,
What up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, man. If you're here for the first time, welcome to the channel. If you are here for the second time, that means you're coming back for more. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, man. As you see here, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's talking about this campaign. Every 4 years this happens. And there's a lot of political warriors. I found myself diving in deep this year. So this is not my typical content, but we're going to talk about it today. All right. And mostly I want to talk about this whole stop and frisk thing because there's a lot of black men out there voting for or supporting Trump. And most of their reasons that I've seen online and what's trending is due to the whole stimulus whenever he was, in president and we was in COVID, which if you know the basis of politics, that wasn't necessarily him in general. He actually was against it, but that's a whole nother video. But that has to do with the House and the Senate and all this stuff getting passed. And anyway, it's a lot to it. But I just want to ask the black community, especially black men who keep saying he's giving us $1,200 and hopefully when he gets back in office, he's going to continue to do things like that when things happen. Is $1,200 worth your freedom? Is it worth your peace of mind? Because the things that were happening during the time of stop and frisk was crazy work. Let's just take a look.
Police Department's Stop and Frisk program, a policy that a federal district judge yesterday said unfairly targets minorities. NewsHour special correspondent William Brangham spoke with New Yorkers about the ruling and how the program has impacted their communities. Here's his report.
It was the middle of a summer night 7 years ago on New York City's Upper West Side. Nicholas Pert was out celebrating his 18th birthday with a friend and a cousin. They'd gone to get a burger at the local McDonald's, but it was closed, so they sat down on this bench. That's when the trouble started.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, three squad cars pulled up to us, and the cops came out of those squad cars and demanded that we get on the ground.
But you weren't doing anything wrong.
I wasn't doing anything wrong. We had not been drinking. We had not been doing anything but sitting on the benches late at night.
Nicholas is now 24, a college graduate, and working for a nonprofit in Harlem. He says he's been stopped maybe 10 times in his life. He says all of them for no reason. He says he's never been arrested, never been charged with any crime at all.
I pretty much lost track, of how many times I've been stopped. It's sort of like a rites of passage for a lot of black and brown boys in different neighborhoods around the city.
How many times have you been stopped by the police?
Well, in the double digits, like 3-4 times a year.
25-year-old David Urlicht, also a college graduate who's now applying to law school, says he's also lost track of how many times he's been stopped and frisked by New York City police officers.
A lot of these stops have been me walking home from school when I was going to St. John's, or, me helping a friend move, or just me walking outside my house.
How do you explain that?
You can't explain it, man. Listen, I want y'all to understand something. I'm going to go back to Donald Trump's video because this is just a legal way for him to profile, for cops to profile and get away with it legally. All right. They're going to interrupt your life. And that's why I want to make this clear. If you are a black male and you are supporting Donald Trump, these are the type of policies that you are supporting. All right. Let's just look at some keywords that Donald Trump said in this video.
Number two, you have to do a policy of stop and frisk. When you see a guy coming down the street and the police know every one of them.
He was about to say you can tell, but let's just let him say what he want to say.
Police know every one of them. They know their middle name. They know where they live. They know every one of them. The local police.
Yeah, right.
And they're great. You got to let them do their job. Stop and frisk and take their gun away.
Did you hear what he just said? And take their gun away. Now, you might say he never said anything about race, right? He is the former president of the United States. You think he don't know the numbers and the statistics behind stop and frisk and how it really didn't work? because it naturally made police officers profile, black and brown people. No one knew their names and their last names and middle names and where they lived at. That's nonsense. And I'm going to show you right now. One of the most dramatic and consistent aspects of Stop and Frisk is its disproportionate impact of New Yorkers of color, particularly black New Yorkers. From 2003 to 2023, 90% of people stopped by the NYPD were people of color. That is not done by accident. And they're not finding guns, they're not finding drugs, they're not finding crime, and there's numbers to back that up as well. All right, let me show you. Here we have a chart here, right? This is a chart of the number of stops versus the number of outcomes. So right here, you can see the stops and the number of no outcomes. So most of the stops that they did resulted in nothing. Nothing. This right here is the arrest and summons. The arrest and summons. That doesn't even mean they were convicted. That just means they was arrested and they was, given a court date. But most of the time, out of all the stop and frisk, right? And in 2013, almost 600K. Actually, it was like 2010. Almost 600K. No outcome. That is insane. To have something like this, to disrupt people's everyday life, just because you want to fit the narrative that black and brown people are carrying guns around to get votes. I don't know, man. I don't know if you can be any minority and vote for something like this. Stop and frisk, only 3% of 2.4 million stops. Just listen to that. 3% of 2.4 million stops result in conviction. It's just, is it necessary? Even if you're not of color and you're voting for him and you support Donald Trump, I want you to answer in the comment section. Does this make it valid? Does the 3% make it valid? Is there really as many guns and drugs on the streets of, these towns that you think there are, that you need to stop everyone just because you feel like it? Are there amendments being, disrupted? Do they have the legal right to walk to work, into the park, into restaurants, in everyday life without being harassed by the police? I don't know. If you support something like this, I question who you are as a person. Because last time I checked, we had the right to bear arms, legally. You have to have, reasonable doubt to stop someone, and arrest them. Well, not even arrest them and, detain them for an investigation. You have to have, not reasonable doubt, you have to have probable cause. I'm sorry. Y'all let me know in the comments, man. I just want to talk about this today. I saw this and it really stuck out to me. So if you're still here with me today, let me know what you think in the comment section about this whole, he wants to start off this whole, stop and frisk thing. I gotta know, am I tripping? I gotta know if I'm tripping, man. If you're still here, hit that like and subscribe button. I will see you next video.